Hey guys, it's Brick Thunder, and today we're going to be doing a comparison between the new 2025 Home Depot WorriCrow and GallyCrow. Alright, so this has been a very requested video, and I've been excited to make this video because seeing them side by side, I definitely have more established opinions on both of them. And also because later I'm going to be showing them both in the dark, which I wasn't able to do in the unboxings, and they look very, very cool at night. So I'm going to go through the normal format that I do for these comparisons. We're going to go between both props. We're going to do some comparisons that compare both together because of how similar they are. And then at the end, we're going to go through all those daytime demos and nighttime demos. All right, so let's get right into it. Our first category here is detail. So let's go left to right. We're going to start with WorriCrow for everything, then move over to GallyCrow until we get to the comparisons that compare both together. So WorriCrow, the detail is incredible. I will say this one is definitely more detailed than the GallyCrow, especially when it gets up to the top. The body is very, very similar between both. But you can see the detail. We'll get up close here. You can see the base, very nice detailing. Like I said in the unboxing, very similar to the Inferno pumpkin with the color scheme and everything. At first, when I saw this thing in the photos, when I saw it in the videos, I wasn't too sure about that face, but in person, the way it's detailed and airbrushed or however they did the painting up there looks very, very professional. The fake straw is actually really nice because it doesn't fall out nearly as easy as the real straw, and most props do use real straw. So having this fake straw detail is great because it still looks the same, but you don't have to worry about losing all of it in a year, which does happen pretty often with those real ones. And then the main detail for this guy comes in with the clothing as well, which is removable, by the way. Like I said in the unboxing, both of these guys, you can actually display just the blow mold, or you can put on all of the clothing if you want. And his clothing is very detailed. You got the patches that are actually sewn on in multiple different places. There's one right up there if you can see that. And then the detail on the printing actually looks really good too. Some nice like black distressing over the brown cape. Moving on to the detail for the GallyCrow. This guy is also very detailed, not quite as much detail with the clothing there. As you can see, he's got the ripped up fabric right there. It's kind of that sheer like see-through fabric, which is cool, especially at night when it catches light and stuff. It does look cool, but it definitely to me seems a little bit cheaper looking than the Scarecrow here. But he's also got detail in the clothing, not printing wise, but cut up. You can see the distressing is pretty nice, which this guy doesn't actually have. They also put some holes in it up there, which is definitely good to see. I think near the sleeves could do a bit more distressing, but very, very easy fix. And then actually for this guy, something he wins with detail with is the blow mold pieces because they dry brushed all this. This is all dry brushed. And that adds a ton to him, especially down here, like at the base, you can see that looks really, really good compared to this. Both of them look amazing, but this obviously brings out the detail a lot heavier, and at night you kind of need that. You kind of need it to be pretty strong to actually see that. And they did the same thing for the hands and head, which is really nice to see. Head also looks good on this guy. A little bit scarier to me, especially at night when those red lights are going. Pretty creepy looking. From the front, I really like it. From the side, it looks a little bit big and the proportions are a little weird, but it's not horrible and it looks pretty crow-like, which is cool. All right, so now we are discussing similarities between the two. So the main obvious similarity is their build. This thing is basically the same prop replicated, same blow mold pieces, same metal structure inside, all the way up to the necks. Then that's where it switches. You put on the clothing, that's your first difference, and then you have the heads and hood versus hat. Those are the other differences there. So similarities between all of it would definitely mainly just be this first part, as you can see. Basically the same other than what I was discussing with the paint. The dry brushing, in my opinion, definitely looks better. But if you have one of these guys and set up one of them, you're gonna get enough practice that you can set the second one up very, very quickly. And that shows just how similar they are with the build. It is just a reskin between the two. So next up is differences, and one of the differences you can't see here is actually the lighting. The lighting is different. This guy has full red lighting here, so he has in his chest light bulbs shooting in, which causes a glow out, which looks awesome. It definitely makes that rib cage area pop, and then his eyes and beak light up all red, and then over here, the WorriCrow, he is all orange, which fits the Scarecrow a lot. I definitely like that they switched the two. Color changing would be cool, but also for the price, you're getting something really amazing, and I really don't have any complaints about either of them, especially for that price. If they were more, I would probably want something like color changing or audio, but because they're only $400 for a 15-foot animatronic, I think that is a great deal, and I can see why it's just one color for the LEDs. But yeah, this guy's all orange in the chest, same areas, lights facing in there, and then lights facing out on the head. This guy has that glitter. Actually, it looks like both of them have the glitter, but it's definitely more noticeable on the Scarecrow because it has that flame effect, similar again to the Inferno pumpkin. One more similarity that you guys can't see right now would be the animation. Both of them have the same mechanism, and it's actually a reused mechanism from the Levitating Reaper from last year, which is really cool because it works on the Giants. It's strong, it holds up in weather, and it adds something that isn't even necessary. That animation is just an added bonus. All right, now we're going through pros and cons of each, and then we'll do pros and cons of both together. So starting over here, we got WorriCrow. The pros of this guy are definitely, like I said earlier, the detail on this one is incredible, and it's very versatile. It's the Scarecrow, which is just a classic Halloween character, so most Halloween displays and haunts could definitely fit something like this in there, and it's fairly family friendly as well. It's definitely scary and intimidating, but also it's not something that's like so horrifying that you can't display it in front of families, so I can definitely see this being used in many, many areas. The pros of this guy specifically would definitely be the clothing. Love the clothing on him. I love the color scheme of this guy as well. I was saying earlier with the face, how well that's painted, but the entire color scheme here works extremely well. I like that straw color as well. Like I said, that is all fake straw, which actually worked pretty well because of that color. It's a darker color scheme, and if you had real straw in there, like they usually do, that would definitely be pretty bright in contrast to everything else on him, which is very, very dark. And with Scarecrow, sometimes we get pretty bright colors. So keeping this guy dark was definitely a good decision, especially since this is one you kind of have to display outside because of the height. And when people are seeing it outside, it's likely going to be dark out. So this color scheme is going to look really, really cool at night. Another pro of this guy is definitely the build quality. Very nice quality build here. He's got two poles going up the entire time, which split into the two legs, which is really nice. And the Phantom was similar. The Phantom had a lot of bracing, but also the Phantom would catch a lot more wind than this guy because his entire build was covered in clothing, and a ton of it. This guy, especially if you display it without the shirt, the wind will go right through. But even with the shirt, I don't see this guy catching too much wind. Still use the tethers, use the stakes, and I'm going to secure mine to a flagpole just to be extra safe. But even if I didn't have that flagpole, which I actually don't for this guy, I'm sure they would both be fine because they are built very well. So pros over here with the GallyCrow, like I said earlier, I think he's definitely the scarier one, especially at night. It looks really, really creepy. And also another one that's very versatile in a different way. He's not super classic Halloween like WorriCrow is. This guy is definitely a just character of its own. It doesn't really fit in any genre, but that works out really well because you could put this in, for example, like a graveyard. You can just put it in the background of your haunt or display, and nobody's going to be like, that's out of place. The only thing it wouldn't really fit in is like circus and like those very, very niche genres, but this is definitely very versatile as well, so definitely could see this fitting in a lot of people's displays. I know I've mentioned it before, but the other pro of this guy is definitely the detail here on all the dry brushing. Looks great, and definitely completes the look very well. Again, dark color scheme for the whole thing, which I love a lot. I think the red lighting, which I'll show in a bit, is definitely another pro for this guy too, because it completes the look of this really creepy, weird character having those lights. If it was any other color, I don't think it would work quite as well, especially because all of this is black pretty much, and the black with red is awesome. So because there aren't too many specific cons that I haven't gone over with for each, I'm going to do the cons for both first, because I think anything that applies to, for example, him is going to apply to him as well. For example, starting with there's no sound, which, like I said, I'm completely fine with that, especially for the price you pay. But I know a lot of people prefer when props have sound, and that could be something that I could see with future 15 foots for sure, especially since these are literally our second and third 15 foots, and they already have animation, which is a huge step. And I prefer animation over sound for sure, especially because a lot of my props, I have the sound off because we have other audio or music going on. So like I said, definitely would prefer him to have animation. So I like where the budget was spent there, but in the future, definitely could see some sound being added to props like this. One con that goes for both of them, and really any large prop, or props of this scale specifically, or 12 footers, would be storing them. These things weigh over 100 pounds and the boxes are about 4 feet by 4 feet. So this is not something just the average person would be able to store. You would definitely have to have lots of Halloween storage in your house, or a storage unit, or something like that for these type of props. And I think it's worth it because you're getting something that so many guests will love. These things you'll see from all the way down the street, and people will love to take photos by them. And especially if you put your sign or stuff like that right next to it, you could definitely get some good promotion out of these guys. But that storage is very difficult in the off season. And I've got multiple 12 foots, and I'm definitely running out of room for stuff like this. And the 15-foot Phantom was actually a smaller box than these two, which makes sense because, like I said earlier, the clothing is basically all of his build. These guys, they have so many blow mold pieces that they definitely require that larger box. Still pretty impressive that they fit in a 12-foot, seeing as they're 3 feet taller. Since I started with cons for both, let's go to pros now for both together. Number one, you're getting this amazing giant prop at only $400. I think that is a very, very good price for both of these, especially this guy. I do like this guy better overall just because that detailing looks very, very professional. Both of them look great, but prefer him. For $400, you're getting a prop that can be a great marketing opportunity, and it's 15 feet tall, so it stands way above anything else, at least animatronic, that we've seen in previous years for retail. So it's definitely a showstopper and can very much be the centerpiece to your attraction. All right, so let's do our individual demos of both. Then we'll go to the nighttime demo, and then we'll come back for just an overall review of both. All right, so there they were, the WorriCrow and GallyCrow from Home Depot 2025. So both of these are definitely a big improvement in retail. These things are 15 feet tall, animatronic, and way more detailed than anything we've had of this size previously. And for $400, like I said, would definitely recommend both of them, whatever one fits your theme better. Now, I did say this guy I very much prefer, but that doesn't mean I don't like this guy. He's still one of my favorites of retail for sure. That size is unbeatable. It towers over everything, even the 12-foot Skelly and the 12-foots, which is crazy because just a few years ago, those seemed so huge and impossible. Now we're getting stuff at 15 feet and moving. And for only $100 more than the 12-foot skeleton, and it's got just as much blow mold, and that's pretty crazy to see. plus that animation, the lights, and everything else. Eventually, I'd like to get a at least photo, short, or video of the 15-foot Phantom compared to these guys, and maybe even the 12-foot Skeleton to give a good comparison between the previous items that you guys may own before committing to one of these guys, just to give you guys a better comparison. But I can't fit any others right here, so that will have to be outside, and hopefully later in the season I can do that. But yeah, both of these guys are amazing. Let me know what you guys prefer, the WorriCrow or the GallyCrow. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.